everybody. Happy Sunday. This is Melissa Eloise Osborne. I wanted to read something to you guys today about crucial conversation that also helps with role playing in a conversation in your head before you actually and have role playing with your friends. Kind of like you prepare yourself. If you're tuning in live, put live. If you're tuning in replay, please put replay. Let me know where you're tuning in from if you're a first time viewer. My name is Melissa Eloise Osborne. I'm from Marathon, New York. And yes, of course, in advertising, the Army or the Marines. You never know what's gonna happen when you come to my life. But oh, there's my cursor. Okay. Turn villains into humans. When you find yourself labeling or otherwise vilifying others, stop and ask, why would a reasonable, rational, and decent person do what this person is doing? This particular question humanizes others. As we search for plausible answers to it, our emotions soften, empathy often replaces judgment, and depending upon how we've treated others. Personal accountability replaces self-justification. For instance, that coworker who seems to conventionally miss out on the tough job told you recently that she could see you were struggling with an important assignment. And yesterday, while you were tied up on a pressing task, she pitched in and completed the job for you. You were instantly suspicious. She was trying to make you look bad by completing a high-profile job. How dare she pretend to be helpful when her goal was to discredit you while tooting her own horn? Well, that's the story you've told yourself. But what if she really were a reasonable, rational, and decent person? What if she had no motive other than to give you a hand? Isn't it a bit early to be vilifying her? And if you do, don't you run the risk of ruining a relationship? Might you go off half-cocked, accuse her, and then learn you were wrong? Our purpose for asking why a reasonable, rational, and decent person might be acting a certain way is not to excuse others for any bad things they may be doing. If they are indeed guilty, we'll have time to deal with that later. The purpose of the humanizing question is to deal with our own stories and emotions. It provides us with still another tool for working on ourselves. First, by providing a variety of possible reasons for the other person's behavior. In fact, with experience, the maturity, we learn to worry less about others' intents and more about the effect others' actions are having on us. No longer are we in the game of rooting out unhealthy motives. And here's the good news. When we reflect on alternative motives, not only do we soften our emotions, but equally important, we relax our absolute certainty long enough to allow for dialogue. The only reliable way to discover others' genuine motives, turn the helpless into the able. Finally, when you catch yourself become bemoaning your own helplessness, you can tell the complete story by returning to your original motive. To do so, stop and ask, what do I really want for me, for others, for the relationship? Then kill the foolish choice that made you feel helpless to choose anything other than silence or violence. Do this by asking, what would I do right now if I really wanted these results? For example, you now find yourself insulting your coworker for not pitching in with a tough job. Your coworker seems surprised at your strong and out of the blue reaction. In fact, she's staring at you as if you slipped a cog. You, of course, have told yourself that she is purposely avoiding noxious tasks and that despite your helpful hints, she has made no chances. I have to get brutal. You tell yourself, I don't like it, but if I don't offend her, I'll be stuck. You strayed from what you really want to share work equally and to have a good relationship. You've given up on a half of your goal by making a fool's choice. Oh well, better to offend her than to be made a fool. What should you be doing instead? Openly, honestly, and effectively discussing the problem, not taking pot shots and then justifying yourself. When you refuse to make yourself helpless, you are forced to hold yourself accountable for using your dialogue skills rather than bemoaning your weaknesses. Which I get that in any conversation. Hi, Donovan. Thank you for showing. I get that in a conversation, like certain things or triggers. You know, if you have a trigger and somebody actually knows your triggers, what would be the best way to deviate from that situation so you're not making yourself even more anxious, anxiety, depression? The object when you're having a conversation with a person, you want to feel safe and you want to feel not judged. And it's nice seeing you on here, Donovan. Thank you. But I want you guys to think of these questions as yourself, because I have to implement and I gotta follow these strategies to move forward. And acknowledging certain words, certain behaviors that I do, and how do I cope with it. Oh, there's my mama. She's at the gas station, I think. I'm getting sidetracked. Okay. But see, that's life, you know. Life doesn't stop for one person, and the world does not evolve around me, or it doesn't evolve around everybody else. We get living. Okay. Maria's story. Maria's new story. To see how this all fits together, let's circle back to Maria. Let's assume she reacted or retraced her path to action and separated the facts. From the stories, doing this has helped her realize that the story she told was incomplete, defensive, and hurtful. When she watched her 3 clever stories, she saw them with painful clarity. Now she's ready to tell the rest of the story. So she asked herself, am I pretending not to notice my role in the problem? When I found out that Lewis was holding project meetings without me, I felt like I should ask him about why. I wasn't included. I believe that if I did, I could open a dialogue that would help us work better together. But then I didn't. And as my resentment grew, I was even less interested in approaching the subject. Why would a reasonable, rational, and decent person do what Lewis is doing? He really cares about producing good quality work. Maybe he doesn't realize that I'm as committed to the success of the project as he is. What do I really want? I want a respectful relationship with Lewis, and I want recognition for the work I do. What would I do right now if I really wanted these results? I'd make an appointment to sit down with Lewis and talk about how we work together. As we tell the rest of the story, we free ourselves from the poisoning effects of unhealthy emotions. Best of all, as we regain control and move back to dialogue, we become masters of our own emotions rather than hostages. And what about Maria? What did she actually do? She scheduled a meeting with Lewis. As she prepared for the meeting, she refused to feed her ugly, incomplete stories, admitting her own role in the problem and entering the conversation with an open mind. Perhaps Lewis wasn't trying to make her appear bad or fill in for her incompetence. As Maria sat down with Lewis, she found a way to tentatively share what she had observed. We'll look at exactly how to do this in the next chapter. Fortunately, not only did Maria master her story, but she knew how to talk about it as well, while engaging in healthy dialogue. Lewis apologized for not including her in the meeting with the boss. He explained that he was trying to give the boss a heads up on some controversial parts of the presentation and realized in retrospect that he shouldn't have done this without her. He also apologized for dominating during the presentation. Maria learned from the conversation that Louis tends to talk more when he gets nervous. He suggested that they each be responsible for either the first or second half of the presentation and stick to their assignment, so he would be less likely to crowd her out. The discussion ended with both of them understanding the other's perspective and Louis promoting to be more sensitive in the future. So in the conversation, they resolved the issue. Yes, you're right. And thank you for participating. I appreciate it. And anybody else tuning in, I hope this gives you value. So it says, my crucial oh boy. Okay. My crucial conversation, Kathy W. My first husband was abusive. As a result, my 3 children grew up in an extremely violent home. They never saw me physically abused, but they saw the aftermath and they experienced emotional and mental abuse. After 16 years, the 8 attempts to leave, I finally broke free. My physical wounds are now healed, but I still struggle with the long-term psychological effects the abuse caused me and my children. When emotions run high, I tend to go to silence or sarcasm. And after hearing so many unhealthy conversations, my now adulthood, which I can resonate with this one, children simply mirror behavior. That is so true. They saw a child fall into old patterns of disrespect and expect me to respond the same way I responded in the past. I have used crucial conversation and crucial confrontation skills in many situations, and know through firsthand experience that I can not only master the stories that kept me locked in old behaviors, but I can also reduce stress and gain renewed confidence in my day-to-day conversations and decisions. So just because you did things in the past, you can change them now. Don't think you can't. It's not easy. Nothing is ever easy. It's just consistency. I recently used these skills to increase safety in conversations with my daughter, who became, because of a drug abuse, lost custody of her children in previous conversations. I became silent when she displayed her father's hot temper, but I wanted to help her regain. My goal is to be my daughter's friend and to speak honestly and directly without making her feel threatened. I try to make it safe for her to share her story by watching her body language. As soon as she shows signs of frustration, I stop and remind her that I am on her side. I use contrasting statements such as, I know this is difficult and I don't want to upset you. I just want to make sure we consider everything we are dealing with. Next, I ask for permission to explore these areas, and if she is willing, we continue. If not, I apologize for upsetting her and ask her to tell me when she is ready to talk about it. I have also found tentative statements to be effective. Instead of saying, are you upset with me? What did I do? I now say, I'm beginning to feel that you are upset with me. Did I do something to make you angry? For response to this question opens the door to the real issue at hand. In the past, the first 5 minutes of a visit with my daughter were agonizing. I found myself fighting my own tendency to go to silence or be sarcastic, which I have done this. So, this book resonates with so much. I was afraid to open my mouth because no matter what I said, I always seemed to upset her. I've now mastered my emotions, rethought the story. I told myself that convinced me I would never be able to hold this crucial conversation with my daughter. I state my views factually and with confidence because I know my intentions are good, and I know she wants to get better. As a result, we now have longer discussions, and she is usually able to leave the conversation without having an outburst. This is amazing progress and gives me hope for the future. Kathy W. I can relate because I'm working on this with my son, talking, asking him questions. How does he feel? I want him to feel safe. And that goes with any friendship or whatever family member is not bringing, and if you bring up something that makes them emotional, be like, okay, let's redirect this. You know, it takes time. It takes practice. You're not, I mean, I've been working on these skills since I started, and I really didn't learn how my conversation skills were so off base because I really didn't talk much. And going to counseling doesn't really help. It didn't really for me because a lot of times I felt like I always was telling most of the conversation, you know, and she just was agreeing or, you know, kind of giving me a little bit of guidance because that's what they are. A counselor is like a guidance. They only guide you. You have to take the initiative action to change where you're present being and how you feel. Nobody can do that for you. But that is my opinion. You know, people can blame other people. Hey, Shyla, how you doing, beautiful? Shyla Gomez Depez. Say hi to her, friend her, reach out to her. Same with Donovan Huntsman. He's awesome. Cool. I'm glad to see you guys here. I hope that this book can help somebody else. And reading helps with my words, my vocabulary, and how to work on my conversation skills. And it's something that I need to rewrite or reread and implement on a day-to-day basis, or it's not going to work. Just like anything, if you only do it once, it's not going to work. I mean, it might for a little bit, but you go back right into your old ways. And certain people can they can trigger you. So it's like I guess you got to put some people in timeout. Not like block them permanently, I guess, but I guess put them in timeout and be like, okay, you know, you need to focus on you so I can focus on me. It's nothing against, don't take it personal. Just you work on you. Because I can't help you if you don't help yourself. And I've learned that, you know, I think a lot of that was due to self-independence, you know, coming out, you know, I moved out at 16 and been on my own ever since. And I'm still there for my mom and dad. They're not together, but I'm still there for them. And they don't believe in all this stuff. That's fine. I don't force it upon them. You know, they know it makes me happy because I love learning. I love learning and implementing new strategies. And not only that, how to better communicate with my own family too as well. So it's like, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. So I know it's kind of weird. I got that behind me, the Marines, but I'm outside. I'm with nature. I'm reading a good book. Another good book is The Secret of Success by Wallace D. Wattles. I do recommend that too. That's a good book. But you guys ever, I mean, starting a YouTube channel and doing all this other stuff and knowing how to, but you got to just do it. Okay, everybody's doing a lot of positive impact, and this is just a tip. So you create something that resonates with you, you want to improve on yourself, so you're doing the research, you're doing the work. So, to the secret of success on that aspect, you keep doing your videos. You get enough viewers. You put it publicly so people can see you. You know, you don't have to talk to every individual that comes onto your live. That's totally up to you. That's your choice. You know, pick people that are going to motivate you, move you forward as well, and not only that, support you. But I mean, and where we spend our time too. But I love you all. You have a good evening, good night, good afternoon on this beautiful Sunday. It's nice and sunny. I am wearing the same clothes that I did yesterday, only because I'm going to be at my brother's working and picking up, you know, insulation, nasty wood that stinks. And so, why dirty new clothes? Just wear the same ones that I worked with in it. So, and I'm trying to help out. Because it all comes back to you. And I know they appreciate it. I love you all. You have a good one. Love you too, Shyla. Mwah. Have a good evening. Toodaloo.